What's up, Mark?
All the good things.
Oh,
All
so
the
good to see you.
likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So let me get adjusted here. We don't have the best lighting in our office, but that's okay. We make do with what we have because that's the type of people we are. So
Very
first
cool
off,
intro, by the way.
thanks,
That
man.
was, that,
Yeah,
that was, that was cool.
it was an idea that we had talking to a couple other affiliate owners that have a podcast, and so we wanted to try to do something kind of fun as well. So we're happy you like it. So first off, welcome to Talking Reps, season 2, episode 7. Yeah. So we're joined here today with Mark England, co-founder and head coach of the Enlifted method. Mark's going to join us at the end of September for a workshop that we're super stoked about. Yeah. So welcome. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to do this.
My pleasure. This is podcast 358.
Of your 1,000 goal.
That's exactly right. I'm going to do 1,000. I'm going to do 1,000. I really like the way those 4 numbers look. And I'll probably have likely gotten the hang of this podcasting thing but I'll settle in around 820. That's what I'm
I was
thinking.
going to say maybe 820, 821, probably start getting the hang of it. I feel like we're in the same boat. We're on like 18. So I think once we get to that 2021, we'll have our shit together.
Maybe. Those reps are real. This is 6 minutes ago, real time, my life. Someone messaged me and commented on a post, and it started a conversation. And she said, "Yes, I'm in the fitness industry out of New York City." And look at the words. I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And me being me, I go, "Can I be your first guest?" And she goes, and I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, I think I need to, okay. I've done this before." And, I go, "Great. When are we doing it?" And so that's how I went up to the games. That's how I went up to the games, came on. I got the message from Ackerman, in the afternoon, Monday, early July. Said, "Hey, Wednesday afternoon, would you come on and give a workshop for our recent grads?" And I said, "Yes." And then I started asking questions. How many people? Not like it mattered. How many people? What do they want to hear about? And then we did that. And I get off that call, and there's a text. "Hey, would you like to come up to the CrossFit Games and do the best hour live up there?" And I said yes, before working out the logistics, anything like that. So get it on the calendar, folks. Get something on the calendar. It'll make your life a lot easier. And we got a date on the calendar for this girl's first podcast. And now she's got a date with Destiny, and she's going to go get the equipment, because that was the thing that was stopping her. She was like, "Oh, I need to." No, you just need to get something on the calendar.
That's the thing. It's just getting I mean, you don't even have to sit down. Just turn the camera on. You'll figure out what to talk about. If you're not sure what to talk about, you'll figure it out 20 seconds into the podcast. That was kind of that's how we started it. We had a vision of what this was going to be, and it didn't turn out to be what that vision was, but it didn't matter. We're just here. It's another extension of us for our community. It's just another avenue for people to get to know us that might not necessarily see us every day in the gym, or during, if we're out in the community doing throwdowns or competitions out in the greater community in Oregon. I mean, it's just another way to connect. And that's what we look at it. We don't look at it as anything other than that. But we're super glad that you decided to join us. So how did the games go for you from someone up there watching, but then also partaking with the Best Hour crew and doing their live workshop, talk, podcast, all that?
It was a lot of fun. It was an airstrike. I drove up 14 hours, did the podcast, got in the car, came back with a few hours on each end to take in the expo, the expo magic and made some very, very, very cool connections. So right in the middle of the podcast, Jason Ackerman takes his, y'all ever heard of Christina Anderson?
No.
She just got her level 4. She's likely going to be on CrossFit staff. And I'm not in the CrossFit world, so I didn't know. But she's, people people follow her. And Ackerman takes his headset off and goes and gets Christina, and then gives her the headset, and she's standing right next to me. Goes, coach her. No pressure. And I looked at her. I was like, blink, blink. And Joel Cochran was standing right there, and he goes, "I've already coached her on this and this." You can see it all right there. On video. It's on the podcast. And then I looked at her, and I made a decision in my head, and we went in a certain direction. It was absolutely beautiful with what happened. And then Mike Gardenia, he's director of health and wellness for CrossFit. I met him. We're talking tomorrow. So long story short, very worth the trip. I'm a fan of road trips. I like driving, especially by myself, because I
Yeah.
just zone in. Wisconsin's gorgeous. I didn't know. No one told me.
We don't know.
Not that I asked, but it's very pretty. And yeah, I'd been to one in was it Culver City back in 2014 where they used to have it. And I on the way back, I messaged my business partner and Kimberly and said, we're getting a booth next year, because that was fun. And if we're up there for the whole time, it'll be even more fun, and it'll work. It'll pay for itself. And it's just, we like CrossFit and functional fitness, and especially it's been very good to us. Without that one podcast back in the day with Barbell Shrugged, January 20th, 2017, without that, we would not be having this conversation.
So did you know Marcus Gersey through Barbell Shrugged before Best Hour?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of showing up, everybody. Go there in person. If you get if you get an invitation to go do something cool, show up in person, just like I did this past weekend. And when we got booked for Barbell Shrugged, I flew from Thailand to LA to do that podcast, because like I said, it's just better to, like, I'm coming out to hang out with y'all. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go into what mindset really is, as in the words and the stories. And then I'm driving up to go do the same thing with Mitch the next day. Sign me up. I really like it. Yeah. And so we did 2 podcasts that day. We did Barbell Shrugged at Paradiso CrossFit in Venice, California in the morning. And it was Mike Bledsoe, Doug Larson, and Kenny Kane. Those are the people that interviewed me. And then we did a podcast in the afternoon, Barbell Business. And that was Mike Bledsoe, Doug Larson, and Marcus Gersey. So I met him day 1, and he and I clicked. We've been friends since. He's come out to our lake house. He organized the whole thing with the introduction and just facilitated the relationship with Best Hour, which just gets more and more fun. These guys are great. And then I get to meet people like you through them. Sign me up, like I said.
Heck yeah, man. So we went up to the summit, the Best Hour Affiliate Summit. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed Joel's presentation and the power that he brought and the awareness he brought to all the affiliate owners that were thinking they're going up there to network, to connect, obviously to hang out with the guys in person and spend a weekend, but learning business strategies, things like that. And then Joel steps up there and just blows everybody's minds, literally blows everybody's minds with the power of your words. And so, I mean, that got us thinking, looking into what you do, what you created, what Joel was presenting to the affiliate owners in Denver. And just, I mean, like I said, we try to sprinkle in mindset, sprinkle in awareness, sprinkle in self-awareness and control of what you do, not only here in the box, right? when you have a barbell in your hand or you're doing pull-ups next to someone else and you're thinking, man, I am shitting the bed on this workout because this person next to me is just killing it. And I've taken 4 breaks. They've taken none. I'm throwing in my Metcons. I'm not doing this anymore. Right. And we talk about that. We sprinkle it in here and there. Let's talk, just take us down a road, a little bit of what you do, how it came about, and then what people can expect at the workshop on September 30th.
Yeah, very cool. And for sure, shout out to Joel Cochran. He's
a ninja.
He's a ninja. You know, I was a teacher before I got involved in this. I've got a degree in education. I was an elementary school sports teacher, so I come from an education background. I'm a teacher to the core. Way before I'm a coach, I'm a teacher. And what do good teachers want? They want good students. And Joel Cochran, he came in, took what we teach, and you're right, he's a ninja. He's got the sword and he knows how to use it. So how did I get involved in this thing? So I thought I was a tough guy in high school and college. I wrestled in high school and got into MMA in college, and this is late 90s. And I started competing. I had my first MMA fight in 1999, and competed on the regional scene. Did okay. Won a couple of state kickboxing titles, and decided I'm going to go to Thailand for a year and polish up on my Thai boxing skills and come back and go pro. That's not what happened. That's very not what happened. And thank goodness, because it was only going to be a mediocre thing anyway. I go over there, and 6 months in, I'm having my second knee surgery, and darkness descended. And I had 3 going away parties. To say that was a big deal for me, and I'd only had my passport for 2 years, and so for me to move to literally the other side of the world, if you take a pin and put it in Richmond, Virginia, and go to the exact opposite side of the world, that's Bangkok, Thailand. And I move over there for a year. It was a big deal, and I screw the whole thing up, fall flat on my face, and use that experience scenario as the final piece of evidence in a case that I was secretly making against myself, that I wasn't good enough. And there was something wrong with me, and I was somehow doomed to fail. And you just went for it, buddy, and you just cocked the whole thing up. And here's the proof. Your greatest fears, it's true. And I didn't laugh for a year, and that wasn't fun. And eventually, so I ended up living in Thailand for 10 years. Still sounds strange to say. I was over there for a decade. And first half, I was an elementary school teacher in Bangkok. And then second half, I started my coaching career January 17th, 2007. And I've been full-time since, at a health and cleansing resort down on an island in the Gulf of Thailand. And I started going down there doing these cleanses. It's a great business model. I pay them to not eat. I give them a bunch of money, and I get a coconut and a yoga class and literally a grass shack on the beach. And you know what? It was great. So I kept going back, and my third time down there, because guess what, everybody? The whole mindset, imposter syndrome, victim mentality conversation shows up just as strongly outside of the gym as it does inside of the gym. The language patterns are the same. So if you want to get an edge, if you want to turn the volume down on that imposter syndrome voice, that, like you said, you're comparing yourself to the person that I've taken 4 breaks, they haven't taken any, I'm throwing my Metcons away. That whole comparison hell, that's very real. That's a flavor of the imposter syndrome, victim mentality, that whole thing. So I've given, it's at least 30 workshops in CrossFit gyms, and it's always very interesting to watch. There's what percentage of gym members struggle to identify themselves as an athlete? That's an interesting question, because I've seen that. I've watched a lot of people there. They really want to not call themselves an athlete, because you got to go to regionals to be an athlete. No, really? You sure about that? And so that whole identity thing, And so I go down there to this cleansing resort, and I go to an emotional detoxification seminar one night. Glad I went. And this guy, Barry Musgrave, who turned into my first mentor, talked about words, stories, identity. And then he asked, "Hey, anybody stuck on a story?" And this woman shot up her hand, and she told the story. It was a bad breakup. It was a stinger of a breakup. This bad breakup that happened 4 years prior, and it was taking up so much mental real estate. She didn't want to get in another relationship, and she was still fuming 4 years later. That whole time doesn't apply to the emotional body thing. Very real. And he had her tell the story. So we're going into stories, everybody. You know what mindset is, everybody? Since we're talking about it, you know what it is? It's the story you tell yourself. That's what your mindset is. Your mindset is the story that you tell yourself to yourself about yourself. What you can do, what you can't do, what you are good enough for, what you're not good enough for, what is possible, what isn't possible. And a vast majority of that, just a bunch of opinions. Nothing ever works out for me is not a unit of measurement. Okay. Why everyone's got it so much better than me is not on the periodic table of elements. These are ideas that have never been written down. We're going to do that a lot. Bring pen and paper, everybody. And so she goes into this story, and here's the short version. Her and her friends get a house for beach week. Her boyfriend and his friends get the house next door. Add alcohol, press play. He hooks up with her best friend in front of everybody one night,
Wow.
and then dumps her in front of everybody the next night.
Wow.
Like I said, it was a stinger, right?
And they're off married and have kids, and they're living a great life.
Of course they are.
Yeah, insult to injury, right?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was bad enough. And he had her tell the story several times to get down to the one sentence that held the whole thing together. And that sentence was, this guy knew what he was doing. He did that to me. And he had her say it again. He did that to me. Say it again. He did that to me. So now everybody in the room is staring at that same sentence, mental prison sentence. And then he goes, that last word, take out me and put in himself. And you see it. You see it happen. You see the magic happen. It was such a radical departure from the story that she was telling herself. It was clunky, and then it goes up at the end. It's called up talk. He did that to himself, and then it catches. And the breath, we're going to talk a lot about breath. Breath is super important when it comes to mindset, your words and your breathing. He did do that to himself. And then she starts talking about how he lost friends, and it actually turned out worse for him. And then the final thing, when she walked herself out of that nightmare story that had been swirling in her head, she goes, that was never going to really work anyway. That guy was actually really weird. And this is me in 2003. Okay, so I saw it in 2003. I went and trained and practiced for 4 years, came back and put my poster up 2007. She did that. I go like this. I was like that right there. And I had a he did that to me story. It's different, but the words were the same. He shouldn't have been kicking that hard. We were just warming up. He did that to me. And so, and that's when I first started thinking about my thinking, using my words in different ways. Because here's the reality of it, folks. And it's an education issue. It's definitely not an intelligence issue or a deservance issue. If your words are put together in a certain way, you're going to create the feelings of being an imposter. You're going to create the feelings of not being good enough. You're going to create the feelings of not belonging, even though you're there with everybody and everybody's glad you're there, but you have this feeling that I just somehow don't fit in. Okay, that energy, those emotions and feelings, those are coming from stories. And I'll bet the farm that those stories have not been written down. This is heavy work, okay? Sometimes there's no free lunch in the transformation stuff. This goes way beyond reading another, and I love David Goggins, another David Goggins book, and deciding to smash through the thing, and being, and I just got to be the tough and just plow through, and nothing's gonna get in my way. No, no, no. That's a gear in the conversation of mindset. It's just like driving a car. You want to be able to slow the thing down and go around the corner and then speed up and brake, and like the whole thing, the whole thing. And and oh boy, yeah, there's a little elbow grease involved. And man, on the other side of that stuff, you just feel so much better. You just feel so much better. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of, I know fun's an opinion. It's a lot of fun to turn the volume down on the victim mentality and be the version of yourself that you want to be, instead of the version of you that keeps showing up. Because history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And that woman, she also said some other interesting things afterwards. She goes, I've had the same relationship with 5 different guys. And that's because she was telling herself the same story about 5 different men. And so that's why if we keep using the same words in the same way, we keep creating the same perspectives, and the same feelings show up. This all is very easy to change, okay, when we go and do it. And that's what we do. I've been doing this one thing full time, somewhere between full time and overtime, the whole time for the past 16 years. And that's researching, presenting, and teaching on the power of words and stories. He's right. I'm the head coach of Enlifted. I'm one of the co-founders. I deliver all of our trainings. I've certified every single one of our 370 coaches. I'm going to certify the first 1,000. It's going to take me about 6.5 more years. And then I will, we'll roll out trainer, and I'll support the coaches that want to pick that torch up and walk with it. This is a conservative number. And I'm only sharing these numbers with you to make the idea of coming more interesting, and to highlight, because I was riddled with imposter syndrome when I first started coaching. I was shitting bricks when I put my poster up against those, up next to everybody else's poster that had been coaching and teaching and doing their stuff for years at the spa. January 17th, 2007. That was the day I went pro, when I put my poster up, and I thought I was going to die. I did it anyway. So I was riddled with the imposter syndrome when I first started, and I know what happens when we turn the volume down on that, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah, this is at least my 750th workshop in person doing this. So
Nice.
it's going to be valuable, everybody. It's going to be fun. You're going to learn more about about mindset and words and stories, and turning the imposter syndrome, turning the volume way down on that than most people learn in their entire lives. You're going to get that in 2 hours for sure. And uh, there's so many different stories I could tell about how I know this stuff works. We'll just use another injury story. Okay. So 2002, I move over there, jack my knee up, darkness descends. I turn it into the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone in the planet. Right. And I turn myself into a grown ass man baby. That's a technical term. And that one gets me too. That one
I
gets
like
me.
that vision. I like that vision.
Grown ass man baby. It's very accurate. And so fast forward, Mike Bledsoe was there. He was there. 2018. He and I are driving in Arizona, and we stop off at this 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu studio. And for, just so you know, 10th Planet, it's a very interesting subset of the jiu-jitsu world.
Yeah.
They're hippies. They're hippies, and they sit around and smoke a lot of weed and come up with new ways of twisting people in different directions. They're extremely innovative. And my jujitsu, it deserves to be in a museum. So I go in there, and we take a couple of classes, and then I roll with one of their he was probably a purple belt. It's good. The guy was good. He puts me in something that I don't know what it is, and I think I can get out, and I'm wrong. And so I'm pulling, and he's doing what he's doing, and my arm rips out of socket. And it sounds like something out of Jurassic Park, soft tissue tearing. It's charming. Everybody's like this, and he lets go, and I look at my elbow, and I look at him, and I look at my elbow, and I look at him, and instead of turning it into the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone on the planet, I go to my calendar in my head. I didn't have to think to do it. I just did it. I was like, okay, yeah, that kettlebell core certification on it in 6 weeks, that's not going to happen because I just done something. And Paleo Effects, it was this really cool fitness expo at the time, before one tweet in the summer of 2020 burned the whole thing down. And oh yeah, you can look that up. I watched it happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went there a couple years. In the first year, 2018, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's happening in 4 weeks. And Pascal, she's going to come in and help with the booth. And it's just a booth. I can do it with one arm. All I need to do is shake hands and write some things down. I hit the abracadabra. So we can do that. And then, oh, hey, Mike, we need to leave because I don't know what this is. And we walk out the door and my arm's flopping around. And I'm talking about a girl that I think's cute because I've got the mental real estate to do it. And oh, by the way, I mean, I did do it. I went and had there we go. A Tommy John.
Oh,
You know what that is?
Yep.
It's charming. It's when they go in and they take some important things out of your hamstring and sew your elbow up like a shoe. And the whole thing, I healed really well. I healed really well because it was I kept the story small. I was breathing well, and the body does way better stuff when it can down regulate when it needs to, and rest and digest. And yeah, it was just something that happened as opposed to a value judgment on me as a person. And that was because I'd done some work on my story, and I knew how to use my words in the moment. And there's nothing special about me. If I can do that, anybody can do it. And
Yeah.
that's a fun skill to develop.
Yeah, right. It's fun. I mean, you said it earlier. It's fun. It's fun what we're going to learn about. It's fun what you've learned about and you've taught and you keep teaching. But also, I could see it being so freeing
Hmm.
too. It could feel like you're letting all that weight off your shoulders that really, in effect, you've put on yourself, and just shedding it like a thick skin that you didn't need to carry around the whole entire time. And I can see it just being very freeing.
1,000%. It's very freeing. And then we'll just talk about what happens inside the gym. Really great things happen inside the gym when people they go into the stories that part of them or a lot of them is using fitness to keep in the box, to keep a
Yep.
band-aid on. Because if you see watch, it'll happen with people. It happened with me when I got injured. One, it majorly affected my identity, and two, I couldn't work out at the level and the intensity that I was used to. And because I couldn't burn off that extra energy, and a lot of that was um, what fueled my fight career. I mean, the pre-workout industry, pre-workouts got nothing on the victim mentality. The victim mentality is the real pre-workout for the
Oh
fitness
yeah,
industry. It's like,
100%.
I'll show them. I'm gonna get him back. I'm gonna make her wish she never dumped me. And then and so it's all this upregulating victim stuff that gets people like motivated in a stressed out way. And when people get injured and they can't work out that way, look at the words. I exercise my demons. I've got to exercise my demons. We can turn, and this is where some of the fitness industry is going. I'm calling it right now. It's not going to happen at Planet Fitness. They're going to be pulling the lunk alarm 10 years from now. Part
Yep.
of the fitness industry is going into the transformation industry. And so it's part of what's going to happen is the conversation about how important processing the stories and the negative emotions from adolescence and childhood, how they're influencing our adult mindset, because they do, going in there and cleaning that up, cleaning that out, and unlocking the breath, and turning fitness into more of a longevity conversation than get a nine get 10 pack abs in 6 weeks
Oh
to
yeah,
win to win your sweetheart back again. It's like that's we're gonna go further than that.
that's Chauce's whole entire goal for our community here is, yes, day to day fitness can be a great thing. It can be a great thing to lean on, to rely on. Like you said, exercise those demons. It can be good for that band-aid effect, right? To solve or to fix what's ailing us right now. But Chauce's goal and our goal, my goal too, obviously, with this community is to take that and transfer it into lifelong fitness. What we do here today helps us not only realize our healthy years later on down in life, but also makes it so we don't have to rely on anybody to get up in the morning, to take a shit, to go to the grocery store. That we have the tools and the capabilities to do that throughout the rest of our life. That's our entire goal for everybody here. Yes, it can be done with strength training and stretching and moving our body through space and time confidently, but that's only a part of it. We need to get the brain right. We need to get the mind right and get our own self-image correct, so that way we can keep ourselves motivated when the world doesn't do it for us anymore. So that's our goal.
And lucky everybody that they've found a gym that has that broad of a vision, that holistic of an approach. Yeah, I mean, an enlightened poop sent me on this path. It's a true story. Since we're talking about pooping, yeah. So the spa that was down on
I
the
need a
island.
drink of coffee for this really quick.
Yeah, this is a good story. It's a true story. So, so the spa, which is on Lamai Beach, Koh Samui, still there, and it was based, the cleansing program was based off of traditional Chinese medicine, which has a very interesting fundamental approach. So their doctors stop getting paid when people get sick.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's huge.
That's huge. That smacked me in the face when I opened that book for the first time, because how I found out about that, remember I was hating life, and our vice principal Tom, he came back. He did a 3-day cleanse. He's like, man, there's this really cool place down on Samui, and they're doing this thing, and it's I think you'd really like it. The community is really cool. And he goes, here's a book. They modeled their program off of this, and it was called The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity by Daniel Reed. And like I said, it was all about Taoist traditional Chinese medicine. And the first thing on the first page, it said, traditional Chinese medicine doctors stop getting paid. So where is their incentive? Where is their incentive? It's to keep people well. And I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was at the pool with the 3rd grade class, and then the middle school PE teacher, Paul Marks. He had his 6th, 7th grade class. And it was free time, and everybody's in the pool, and we're sitting there side by side, and I'm thumbing through this thing, and they're talking about diet, they're talking about movement, they're talking about breathing, they're talking about meditation, they talked about energy. Wow. And meridian lines and acupuncture and stuff that's at the very least worth thinking about. And then it gets to pooping. And they showed how squatty potty, they're in that conversation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And so the Western toilet, when people sit down, we don't get the right alignment to have a full evacuation. I believe that was the words they used. And then they showed some somebody squatting down on a toilet, and they showed the alignment of all the inside stuff, and I was like, man, it's like, Paul, you got the kids. He's like, yeah, go for it. And I go in there, do what they say to do, squat down. Everything came out. I got up, and I was born again. I took this huge breath in. I was like, oh my gosh. And literally the colors were brighter. And I said, I'm going down to this spa. And that is a true story. And that's the 3rd time in 358 podcasts that I've ever talked about the enlightened doo-doo.
Well, I'm glad we can be the 3rd time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That makes us feel special.
Very.
Nothing is off limits here, just so you know.
That's very true.
Love it. I'm in the right place.
Well, speaking of which, man, I'm excited. We're excited to have you. I can't wait to get us going and get you down here in September. You mentioned it. We're having a special weekend for the Pacific Northwest in Mark, England. He's hitting our gym on Saturday and then headed up north to go see our friend Mitch up at the Loop Fitness up in Washington. I'm excited, man. I'm stoked to have you. And I look forward to the workshop. I look forward to diving into that and then spending some more time with you and going through the level 1 coaching certification. I'm like I said, I've said it 10 times already. I'm excited. So I'll just end it with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
It's
too.
going to be good.
Me too.
Yeah. So
I really enjoy the people I meet through this work. Everybody that comes to the workshop, the final promise this is going to happen. You're going to learn more about mindset and words and stories than most people learn in their entire life. It's going to be extremely valuable, very entertaining, very practical, so you can implement it. And I look forward to meeting you all.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, everybody.
Awesome, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, we are very, very excited. I was talking about it into my 10:30 class this morning, and like I was talking to all of them and letting them know and getting on, and it's definitely going to be a life-changing thing for anybody that is there. It's going to change their life. So I'm very excited, and to see how that changes our community here as well.
Yeah.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, man. Hang out a little bit afterwards. All right, buddy.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.